This is Dear Analyst, episode number 39. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about how you can quickly get a list of random names from your spreadsheet. And if you, I'm taking a little experiment with this episode by actually doing a screencast of what I'm doing so that you're not just hearing what I'm doing, but you can actually watch this on YouTube and see how I'm actually applying the formulas and getting this random list of names. So the video here, the YouTube video is just in the show notes if you just go into your podcast player or whatever, and you can follow along by watching the video. It's the same exact audio as what you're going to hear in this episode. So the use case, the problem here is you have a list of names, and if you follow along in the video, you'll see I have a list of random, well, not random, they're just some favorite TV characters from the 90s, from different 90s shows like Homer Simpson, Joey Tribbiani, Carlton Banks, just a bunch of random names. And the problem is you want to quickly get a random list of names. You want to quickly get this, you have a list of students, you have a list of names, you have a list of whatever it is, and you want to just pull out a random list of 5 or a random list of 10. And you want a quick way of doing this without having to just like pick randomly from this list. You want to have a repeatable and scalable way to always get random names or random list of people based on a few parameters. The formulas we're going to talk through here, they also work in Excel. So I'm doing this in Google Sheets, but everything I'm doing here also works in Excel too. So I have this random list of names from rows 2 through 14. So that is 13 names. This is all in column B. And the first thing I'm going to do is, let's assume this is like a list of your students in a class. In column A, I'm going to write random number. And this is going to just be using the rand function in Google Sheets. So if I just start writing equals rand in cell A2, then rand left parentheses, right parentheses, hit rand, and then fill that formula down. You'll see I have like a random decimal number next to each name in column A. And if I refresh the page, that number will always change. So right now I'm just pressing Command R or Control R if you're on the PC, and those numbers will always change because that formula is constantly changing. So now, how do I actually get a random list of names knowing that I have this random number? So I'm going to go into column C here, and I'm going to use the sort formula in Google Sheets. So this is going to be called sorted numbers. And what I'm going to do is sort the list of random numbers in column A in descending order. So in column C1, or cell C1, so just to recap, if you're just listening, in column A, I have the rand number, the rand function rather, rand left parentheses, right parentheses. In column B, I have my list of names. It could be a list of, I don't know, plants or whatever. In column C, I'm going to write equals sort, left parentheses, and then I'm going to select my range of random numbers, which is cell A2 through A14, comma, and the sort column is just like the column you want to sort on, so that's going to be 1 since we're only sorting on one column. And then the third parameter is whether you want ascending or descending. I'm just going to say descending, so I'm just going to say comma 0, or you can put false too. And when you hit enter, you're going to see that the numbers are now sorted. The random numbers from column A are now sorted in descending order in column C. Now, why is this important? So now that we know we have this random list of numbers in column C, but they're sorted, this can kind of act as the index we pull the random names from. So what do I mean by that? We know that column A will always be changing because these are random numbers, right? But you'll notice that column C is always going to sort. Whoops, I don't know why Buffy got changed there. You always notice that the sort will always sort the random numbers in descending order. I forgot to put Oops, I forgot to put a absolute reference here on the cell A2 through A14. Let's drag that down. Oops. I need to delete this. And this should work now. Why isn't this working? I'm going to start this over. So C1 sort left parentheses A2 through A14 0. Oops, no, it's 1 0. And I'm going to go over here and make this absolute reference. And that works. That works now. So every time I refresh the page, refresh the Google Sheet. Whoop, that's not working the way I want it to. Let's try manual refresh. Every time I refresh the Google Sheet, column C will sort in descending order. So now if I want to get a random list of names in column D, I can just say random names. Make that bold. And I'm going to do a VLOOKUP of the column C. I'm going to call this kind of like my index on the name, because we know that one of these numbers will always match one of these random numbers. We know that one of the random numbers in column C will always match one of the random numbers in column A, the difference being that column C is sorted in descending order. So in column D, if I want to get the random name, I'm just going to do a VLOOKUP off of column C, which has a sorted random number. So equals VLOOKUP cell C2, and then my range is going to be A2 through B14, comma 2, comma 0. And because I'm pulling the second column, which is my name, put an absolute reference on the range, fill this down. And now every time I refresh the page, I don't know why I can't just press the Command R there, but if I refresh the page, my list of names will never change, but my list of random names will constantly change because column A is a random number, column C sorts that random number in descending order, column D just pulls that name associated with that random number. So this is a way you can always get an updated, a random list of names or a random list of whatever values you have based on using the rand function. And you can of course hide these columns if you don't want to look at them. But I like seeing all my formulas and numbers. So to take this one step further, what if I only want to get back, I want to give you, the user, the ability to say, I only want 5 random names, or 1 random name, or 10 random names. I have a list of 13 here, remember that? So I'm going to say how many names in column F, and then column G is going to kind of be like the number you put. So I'm going to put the number 5 here for now, and let's put this in row 1. So row 1, so F1 says how many names, G1 says number 5. I'm just going to bold this and make this yellow so you know that it's supposed to be something that the user is supposed to enter in a value. And normally I do blue for the font color, yellow for the fill color. And so this is going to represent the number that someone can literally type in, and we can get the list of random names down here. And so how do we get this number to tell Google Sheets that I only want to get back X number of names? We're going to use, there's multiple ways of doing this. The first thing I thought of was using the good old handy offset formula. So if I write equals offset, and how many rows, my cell reference is going to be D2 because that contains my list of names I want to pull back. So if I say D2, I don't want to shift any rows, I don't want to shift any columns, but I want to use G1, which contains number 5, as number of rows or height that I want to pull back from my offset function. And then how many columns of data I want, just 1. And I'm just going to move this G1 to an absolute reference like that. And there we go. So if I put the number 1 here, I only get 1 name back. In this case, it's Joey Tribbiani. If I put 5 here, I get 5 names: Uncle Phil, Kelly Kapowski, Phoebe, Steve Urkel, Homer Simpson. And if I do 10, I'll get 10 names. 13, we'll get all 13 names. If I go 15, then it's going to give me just the names, just the list of names I have, which is 13. So this just makes your random list a little more user-friendly if you want to tell your Google Sheet how many names you want to pull back specifically. So I like this because it just gives you, the user, a little more control and flexibility over how you can pull back the random list of names. So that is this little tip for getting a random list of people or names from a Google Sheet or an Excel file. I will have to caveat and say that this is Google Sheet. You can do this in Google Sheets, obviously, given the RAND formula and the sort formula and the offset formula, but there are obviously many, many, many other tools that are built for just getting a random list of whatever. If you have a random list of numbers or whatever, there are many other tools out there for building a user-friendly way to pull back a random list based on what you want. I mean, just there's actually a template that in the Coda template gallery where I work, there's actually a random team generator template that I helped put together with another person in the community that allows you to quickly get the random list allows you to create a set number of teams and then randomizes the list of names in each of those teams. And I'll link to that template in the show notes. But just caveat saying that there's many other tools you can use for getting a random list of names. But I like this one because you can do it in Google Sheets and Excel, and the formulas are not super complicated, I think, but serves a very simple purpose of just pulling in random names.